aboard!
Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to Cannabis Karaoke, where we ask you to grab the mic and tell your story. Get inside info from today's most interesting cannabis pioneers, and from the first note to the end of the song, listen up as you get to hear the stories of success on Cannabis Karaoke. All right, welcome to another episode of Cannabis Karaoke. I'm your host, Danny Keith, and we're just going to keep stacking these guests up as we go through this next couple weeks, and people are being quarantined or choosing to stay where they're at instead of like coming back. Have some friends that potentially got stuck at Spanibus, made it back, but we're going to kind of just keep the conversation rolling. And dude, today is another just what I would consider an honor and a privilege to interview. We get to interview David Tran today. He's the co-founder of Farechild and the Goldfingers Group. He's also the co-founder of Dope Magazine. He's got nightclubs, most certainly the Cowgirls one in Seattle. He serves on a couple cannabis boards, most notably Sensi Media. And you might know the guy, if you're in the cannabis space, as the Dope Chronicles or the Tranimal, what is it? The Tranimal?
The Tranimal Chronicles. Yes, sir.
My man, dude. How are you?
What's up, Danny? How are you, brother?
Good, bro. I saw you you managed to score a little bit of brickweed here recently.
Yes, I did. The bellboy was very fortunate. I was only expecting to be down here for a week, so I brought my vape pen, and I finished one, and the other one was a CBD cart on accident there. And while I love CBD, I tend to move towards THC. So thank goodness I got some brickweed. I have to admit, it doesn't work. I try to smoke all of it, and I don't think I really felt too much, but it was a symbolic win, I would say.
Right. And so let's talk a little bit about where you're at right now. Where are you kind of chilling?
I am in Cabo San Lucas with my family right now. We come down here, me and my wife got married here 9 years ago in Cabo, and every year we come down here for a week, and we stayed, we were on our second week. We decided to stay here with everything going on. We figure, Cabo has been a pretty, chill and safe place. I think everyone is taking it pretty seriously down here. People are cleaning. We are absolutely, doing everything we can to protect ourselves and, stay as safe as possible. And, again, stay up with the news. You got our family and friends up there. I just following everyone and, making calls and, checking up as needed.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you're a guy that the grass doesn't grow under your feet pretty quickly. And, you're on the move constantly.
Yes.
Like I think I counted close to a dozen plane selfies over the last 3 months that you've taken. Tell us a little bit about that, and how your travel is how it's going to be impacted over the next 30 to 60 days. I mean, you are an event guy, by the way, one of the best event guys in the market. If you're the cannabis space, oh dude, game recognizes game 100%. Like Farechild is the brainchild of you and your partner. And you guys came out of the gate swinging at MJ Biz, and I haven't seen you stop. How is this particular component going to impact you? Because you go Seattle, Colorado, California, Boston. You're just all over the place. What's that going to do? How are you thinking about the future right now?
Well, to me, connecting is everything. With my bars, it's always been that way. And, with Dope Magazine and now with Farechild, we're really focusing on events. And so obviously right now, we've been deeply impacted. We've had a lot of events scheduled. We've had to cancel all of them. Obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of what I do is connect with people in person, and I take the effort to go out there and shake a lot of hands. And, without doing that right now, it's absolutely, affected us. But, for me, I've always felt, that, everything I do is for the long run. And, right now it's just, just kind of bearing down, and kind of my more concern is for everybody else. It's just like people who can't connect, event producers who cannot throw, parties that, for their livelihood. For us, we were trying to really support them. So, my heart goes out to a lot of these big event producers, even the small ones. And, so, but, for me, it's just all about trying to contain this. And, I encourage everyone to think long term, and, how do we go ahead and, contain this and get this thing fixed. And the only way to do that is kind of shut things down. And that's hard when you're a event guy and when you're a bar guy. I mean, the Washington governor just shut down all of the bars and restaurants in Washington, which, essentially closes bars down. It displaces all of our employees, and it puts a real hardship on, business owners like myself. But, I'm, encouraged by the fact that, what I mean, there's some solutions. While it's very difficult to admit that we all have to keep our distance from each other, and for the first time in my life, I'm going to encourage that. And, we want to just get back to normal. Just, to me, I encourage people to follow, the rules, and, be as safe as possible. Take every precaution you can. I think it's easy to take light of it, but, as things start developing, we have to understand that, there's a lot at stake right now. And, I'm just really, overall just taking this moment to, do those things that we forget to do, like, hold close to our families, be close to them. And to me also, from a business point of view, plan and strategize, use this time, proactively. I mean, this thing is going to end eventually. So, what are you going to do when it does happen? You know what I mean? I always feel like, everyone should prepare right now, and use this time proactively. It's easy to get sucked into the negativity and all that. But, to me, just trying to keep our head up, and, to me, just overall knowing, what's really important to me, which is my family, my friends, and to me, this community, which I just, again, whether it's the nightlife and the, service industry, or to me, event producers and the cannabis community, I wish I could do so much more, but, I just, again, just my thoughts are with anyone that's affected by it.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're both kind of, out there, and you, especially being, I would consider you a thought leader in the space. And did you ever expect, in your, we've both been around the sun a few times too. I never thought we would ever see something like this in our lifetime, where the NBA shut down, Hall of Flowers, like, everybody was thinking, oh, Hall of Flowers is still going to happen, shut down, and to your point, like, I was talking with someone this morning, and we were talking about, LA just put a moratorium on rents. Like, if you can't pay your rent, it's cool. Like, you're fine. But, like, how is that ever going to get made up? How, like, I am planning and strategizing, and I agree with you that people should take this time to be aware, be cautious, be smart, don't be in denial. But at the same time, everything has a silver lining. You can take a different approach to what you're trying to accomplish in this space. A lot of people are going to be at home right now. A lot of phone calls can be made. A lot of emails can be sent. Did you ever, like, when you saw this coming on, and when you made the decision to stay in Cabo, like, hindsight's 2020, but when you're looking at it in the face, you're like, am I being a little overreacting right now, or am I making the right decision? Because we worry about that. People shame you for making those decisions, like, oh, it must be nice, or, oh, you're overreacting. It's like, it's not. It's the real deal right now. How did that decision making process go into play? And what are you going to do on the way back? Are you maybe going to extend your trip in Cabo, or when you get back, what is Tran going to do to kind of continue moving forward as a thought leader?
Yeah, well, like you said, at the beginning, I'm looking outside right now, looking at the waves, and it was calm, and you're out there, and there's already some warning signs that you shouldn't be out there, and then the waves start coming, and You know what I mean? All of a sudden now it's a huge wave that you just haven't expected. So, to me, it's unbelievable. It's unprecedented. I still am having a hard time believing the magnitude and how fast these waves came crashing down on us. And to me, it's just like, I'm not a fortune teller. I couldn't predict this part of it. And to me, I think as it went on, it's, as we started watching the news, as we started hearing things, we really just started really just deciding, what can we do? What are we powerless to do? What can we do that's within our grasp? And, kind of making the decision to stay another week was really based on the fact that, schools started closing down. Again, we're taking the proper precautions. Again, we're not taking this lightly down here neither. In fact, it's very hard to call this a vacation at this point. Really at the end, we're living down here. And it's less about, let's go ahead, and do what we did the first week we were here, which is go out and do the fun stuff and enjoy this. Now, my kids are homeschooling here, you know what I mean? We're sitting right here, not outside right now, trying to make sure that the kids have the education as the school, changes. I'm on the phone right now all morning, talking to my partners, talking to different people in my organization, making sure people are fine, and also like talking to you, because I think overall at the end, I think there needs to be some solidarity right now. I think there's so much, in social media that we look at that causes us to panic right now, and to point fingers, and to tell people that people are looking at this wrong. But, who's to say that everyone is in the same position right now? And so I just, again, I've never imagined this would happen again, but I do also believe that after this is all said and done and we will overcome this, that we'll all have a new sense of life and humanity.
It's definitely interesting how the world will correct itself, and how, we were entering into March, it's for 2020 this year, everybody was so pumped on that, particular set of numbers. And, let's face it, let's be honest, let's pull the Band-Aid off. The cannabis industry was not on the best of legs going into this anyways. Especially in the California market. I mean, every market has its challenges. California has been struggling. People weren't, able to pay their bills. You got the likes of MedMen, who, by the way, just put out a release that they're going to be shuttering all of their dispensaries and doing delivery only in California as of today, because LA's said no gatherings more than 50 people. And you and I both know, you go into some of these dispensaries, there's easily over 50 people in these dispensaries. So you already have people not paying their bills. You already had taxation out of control. You already have, and Washington has its own challenges. They're very more restrictive on how they test, the brands that they allow. I just talked to a friend yesterday who said Seattle looked like a ghost town. People walking around in hazmat suits while they're driving to Safeway to go get whatever little bit of food is left on the shelves. What do you see? Like, being that the cannabis industry was already kind of on two wheels going in to what, we were already hanging on. Now this is happening. Lots of people are going to be laid off. Lots of companies are definitely not going to be able to pay their bills. When you say we're going to come out of this with a new awakening, how do you see this? How can everybody kind of, because it is going to take many hands to make light work at the end of the day. Once we come out of this, I fully agree with you. People are going to have a chance to get to know their family a little bit better. They're going to take things a little bit more with appreciation that they may have taken for granted. And as you kind of come back around, what do you think the cannabis space is going to be like after this, if you can at all tell, or just what would your opinion be?
Well, I think like even before this happened, we were already kind of adjusting already. I think, the economics of the cannabis industry was already changing. Capital markets were drying up. People are being more cautious about investing. In fact, you know what I mean? I would beg to, kind of see that, less companies were willing to start a business in the cannabis industry. So I think that was happening already. At this time, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to get worse before it gets better right now. And I would assume and I would hope that, because cannabis plays such an integral part of the economic, world, factors in our world, that maybe the government will start understanding, what they've lost, and what they're going to lose and what they stand to lose. And maybe we can talk about legalization. Maybe we could talk about changing the tax structures. Maybe we could talk about encouraging businesses to happen, like loans, like real different type of programs that help the cannabis industry. And again, I can't predict it all, but it's a wake-up call for everyone. I think we all take for granted, especially perhaps even the local governments, how much the cannabis industry helps support, local economies. And so I'm just hoping that, again, that, through tragedy like this, a lot of realization happens. And I'm hoping that, coming back at it, a lot of these different regulations, change, that different type of, tax structures that are killing businesses right now as we speak, continue to help. And that, maybe perhaps too, like things like landlords and those guys who are, gouging cannabis business because they think that we're making a lot of money will realize that, what, they should just appreciate having, places actually leased out. So, I see some adjustments. Again, to my point, I can't predict what will go on, but for us, we're going to continue to, build our business plan, because we feel like, from an events point of view, that, when this all comes down, said and done, that people are still going to want to connect, and people are going to realize how important it is. And, to a lot of the people who are looking at, oh, wow, there's just so many cannabis events. There's so many cannabis things. You know what I mean? There's too many. You know what I mean? How do you feel now? You know what I mean? It's just like we take these things for granted every single day. And we point fingers, and we mock people who don't, successfully throw an event. And I see so much of that happening. And now you have to realize, when it's gone, what effect it has on, the community. And so, we're encouraged that it's, more than ever after that, we're going to need more of these events. People are going to want to catch up. People are going to want to get back, and people are really going to understand the importance of these type of functions.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I also think, one of the things you kind of danced around, which is there is no safety net for the cannabis space. Some of these bars and restaurants, I have buddies in town that own, multiple bars and multiple restaurants, and, I'm talking to them on the back end. One of the things that I'm going to try to do in my local community is I'm going to try to give free consulting, because sometimes like people just need somebody that's been in business and that's taken a shit at times to be able to bounce things off of. But there's small business loans. There's the banks will work with you. Your landlord will work with you. Cannabis is kind of without a safety net. Like if you can't pay your rent on a place that you're already getting gouged on, good chance you're going to lose it. So there's going to be this, I feel like as we progress into this space a little bit from what I've already seen, like vultures are going to start surrounding some of these situations. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that didn't do anything wrong, ran their business appropriately, treated their employees well, had great product, had a great customer base, had a great location, paid their taxes, and they're still going to go out of business. And we're going to see a new wave of people come in that are in because they had the money at the right time to be able to pick these up. That in itself is going to be a disruption, to our space. And to your point, like events, like I tried to go to as many as I could and support as many as I could. And to your, like you were saying, a lot of people will throw shade on an event. I know when I go to one of your events, because you have this inertia and energy and kind of magic about you, that it's going to be a good event no matter what. But some of these other events are hit and miss. They get mistimed. Maybe they're going up against a cup, or maybe two events are overlapping, like with MJ Biz and Emerald Cup, which was people were struggling on which one to go to. To your point, I think people will start to appreciate some of these events that that maybe didn't get as much attention as they should have because people were so overwhelmed with all the events that were going on. And at the same time, guys like you and I and other players, you know, I can name off 10 people that we all have in our circle that didn't stop going to all those events. I think you're going to see a resurgence of people supporting things that maybe in the past they were kind of throwing shade on, or it wasn't good enough for them to go to. I think there's going to be, in the next 60 days, it's going to be an awakening of who's left at the table and who's willing to work together, because I think we've lost that a little bit in the
Yeah.
space. You know, I think guys like us will work together no matter what, no matter where we're at, no matter where we land. But other people are a little bit more picky when it comes to who they work with or why they work with them. And I think community is really the underlying tone of what you're stating is people have to work together and help each other and really think about how can I, like, I know you think this way, but how can I do something that helps you without expecting something that comes back to me? Because if you do it that way, 9 times out of 10, you get back twice as much as you gave.
Oh, well, I couldn't agree with you more in that statement right there. And I do absolutely agree with you that, you know, even before this time, you know, there was already a shakeout. You know, there was already people, you know, on the verge of losing their businesses, and, you know, people that didn't have that safety net like you were talking about. And it's going to get even worse. I'm just hoping, to your point, that, you know, the good guys are, you know, picking up some of these and, you know, really reconfiguring this and, you know, supporting the industry, people that have good intentions here. And that's the only thing that we can, you know, hope for. And, you know, because, you know, like I said, when there's these downfalls, usually, you know, there's opportunity for people. And, I'm encouraged that, you know, to me, I'm encouraged about the cannabis community. I guess I'm just optimistic about, you know, the fact that everyone's going to realize, you know, how important it is to work with each other. You know, we're going to work our butts off, you know, to create this platform, because we already know that event production is hard. People that throw events are hard. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, whether you're good at it, when you're not, we know it's difficult. So really, the purpose of Farechild was to provide that platform so that, you know, people could, you know, promote their events, but at the same time too, you know, the general public can understand, you know, what events are out there that fit, you know, exactly what they're looking for, which I just don't think there's too many of those platforms to be able to do that. So, you know, again, there's a big adjustment that we're going to have to do. We're going to have to see how it shakes out. But to your point, you know, I'm picking up the phone. I'm calling people. I'm asking people. I have calls with several different media companies. I have calls with different business owners. And again, even if it's a, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? I'm here for you. We'll get through this part of it. You know what I mean? Where can I connect you, you know, in certain instances? And, you know, it might not be a lot that we can do right now, as everything is so crazy. But, you know, I just think that, you know, right now, using the time productively, we're going to be proactive. We're going to go ahead and continue to put out positive messages. We're going to continue to reach out to people. We're going to continue to also, you know, make sure that, you know, we're not panicking, you know what I mean? And we're not putting out more different, you know, things. We're going to follow the rules. You know, there's no time, you know, I mean, we've always been rebels in the cannabis industry. Right now is not that time. It's that time to really unite under one flag. And that's just the human flag right now, and get through this, because again, this is not a movie. It feels like a movie, but it is not a movie. And you know what I mean? I want this to, you know, have a very happy ending to it. And I want us all to look back at this with, you know, humility. And I want us to look back with this with the thankfulness that we are actually be able to survive it, and we will be able to survive this. So, you know, to me, and anybody who wants to, you know, have some time to sit and talk with me and do that, I'm going to encourage that. You know, I have a LinkedIn. It's David Tran. If you want to write me, and, you know, I'll schedule a time here. If I'm here for the next 2-3 weeks, you know what I mean? I'm going to keep myself pretty busy and active, because, you know, that's my business. that's who I am. We all have to be stewards of this industry right now, and everyone is going to remember how you reacted right now. So, act accordingly.
Absolutely. And just to kind of confirm, your LinkedIn is actually Father Tran. So if you're looking to talk to
Yes.
David Tran while he's down in Cabo, the guy's got an immense brain of knowledge when it comes to the cannabis space and how he can help you. And I just want to say, like, in all of my runnings in with you and like all the times we've hung out and smoked some joints and partied and done things across this country, like, you've always been a positive person and you've always been extremely uplifting. And I think, I want to pivot a little bit away from, what we know now is, the situation we're in. And I want to talk a little bit about, post Dope magazine, like when you sold that, which congratulations, by the way, that's, anybody that exits in this space, gets a little feather in their hat or a badge, if you will, of success. Fortunately, Cannabis Club TV partnered up with Enlighten, so we're good too, and we're going to be here after the fact, I guess. When you decided to kind of go into the event space, because I do believe that part of the problem with some of these events is the people that are putting these things together have all of the ingredients except for like one or two, which you happen to stockpile. When you decided to kind of go into the event space, I heard a lot of people kind of shaking their head, scratching their head, like, huh? They've always done good parties as Dope magazine, but we'll see how he does with this. And you kind of went into that thing just like you do everything, with head down like a bull in the china closet. And there is, while David Tran may fail, David Tran never quits. And so when you kind of pumped out and did Fairchild, and like I said, you came out at MJ Biz, and in my opinion, hit a grand slam with that party. The hot air balloon in itself was phenomenal. And so, how did you see that need in the industry, and why did you want to apply your resource set to that? And then, now that you've actually had success, obviously it's easy to, with hindsight, say, "Oh, I knew what I was doing," but some of it, people were entrusting you to throw parties that they hadn't had much success with. How did you have that confidence, and how did you understand that it was such a huge hole in this space?
Well, to me, in entrepreneurship, there's never a sure thing, and there is always fear when you started. Even when we started Dope Magazine, we really didn't know what we were doing. It was just still so early. But like all of my businesses, it all always comes down to the people around me and the people that have built this along with me. I really take no credit for it. While I, bring the positivity, and while I bring that sort of mentality, it's, that's really what I would focus on, the culture, but the people in that, in the organization is the one that really builds it. So I really, first of all, to everyone that's always contributed to Dope Magazine and, our success, it was a tremendous amount of hard work. I would never even, say that it was like a easy task, but overall, it took a lot of, to me, a lot of great people to put all that together. And, for me, I've always been about hospitality. I find my joy in seeing someone happy. And I think we've always applied that, with Dope Magazine. We say, everything that we do has to be dope. And it just has to be on that level where everyone looks at it, they're smiling, sponsors are getting what they were promised, and we build that integrity in the industry. And the reason why I'm out there shaking hands day in, day out is because, you know what I mean? That's really what this is all about. It's about that connection, and it's about putting people together, because if I encourage one person to get together and do something spectacular, then I've really done my job. So I think, to me, it was a personal thing where, you know what I mean, you have to love what you do, and watching people shake hands, connect, people tell me that, wow, you introduced me to this person, there's no better feeling than that. And you know what I mean, money and anything like that, that to me, if I just was able to live my life in that sort of way, then it was. So I think it was such an easy transition into Fairchild, because ultimately at the end, we had a magazine, we did digital, and we did events. And, to me, events was always one of those things that I could tell, like, it was so exciting for me and something that I can always affect. And My partner James has created some of the greatest events while we were at Dope Magazine. He really is a genius. So being able to kind of team up with him and restart the business, because as you build a business like Dope, it becomes super big and there's a lot of people that are involved, and to be able to start over again is absolutely scary, but you learn so many skills. You learn from all of the mistakes that you have done, and really, ultimately, at the end, you can build it faster, stronger with this greater foundation. And I just don't know anything better than to do exactly what I love, which is events, networking, hospitality. And I think everyone always remembers, to me, the big parties that we throw, but to me, events reach so many different levels. There's educational events, there's all sorts of different events, besides just the partying part. But ultimately, at the end, connection is everything. And that's kind of how I've always lived my life. The hardest part of living through this period right now is not shaking hands and hugging people and doing that. And that to me is hard. So, you know what I mean? It's just like, I think I'm just really blessed right now to think about how much I've sacrificed and did that and stayed, kind of away from my family. So I'm really taking the time now to really understand and remember, you know what I mean, why I'm all doing this. My family is right here, over here. They've supported me for so long. And to me, I'm using this time right now. Again, I'm not sitting here. I'm not using my energy or time on anything negative right now. I'm going to take this because I think we all need some perspective right now. And, I encourage everyone to take that time to really reflect.
Yeah, I mean, every time we run into each other, it's never a handshake; it's always a hug. And
Yes, sir.
while I'm not an event guy per se, like I do appreciate kind of what I've seen Fairchild roll out, how you've handled it. It is more than an event. It isn't just David Tran or Fairchild's not just throwing you a party. So many people get that conflicted with like the actual components of the event. And I think when I see other events that maybe don't do so well, it's really because they've failed to plan, and on top of it, they've done what was easy. One of the things I've really appreciated about how you've always been, and this goes back to Dope Magazine as well, is that you've done things the right way, the best way, regardless of if that makes sense or if it is actually going to work. Like that, I think is by far and away what I take away from my kind of observation of you in the industry and as a person. You just have this there's a reason why you are who you are, and it's because of how you hold yourself, your level of confidence, the fact that you do have you're very humble, and you're very one of the things we talked about on another podcast was the fact that most people will not let the space see their family life. Most people don't. They're so busy, caught up in the day-to-day working of it, the work-life balance. I feel like you've always, while a maniac on the road, I do see you kind of slow down and spend time with the fam. And I think that if anything else, if people could take this time right now to kind of recenter themselves and really understand what's important. Like you kind of touched on what I call currency. A lot of people look at currency as money. I look at currency as like what you and I have, our relationship, how
Yes,
we can
indeed.
help each other. That currency to me, like you said, if you could bank on that would make you feel the best than having money in the bank, because money in the bank, as we're all seeing right now, can go away pretty quickly.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm 45, and I could tell you, to all the young folks, money comes and goes. It does. But what doesn't is your reputation, your integrity, the way that you interact with people. Those things are absolutely important. And, to your point, when it comes to events, you can throw an event, but, to me, it has to be an experience. And we have to, to me, we want to make sure that everything is very inclusive. You know what I mean? I don't, the reason why our events are successful is because we make sure that everybody, no one's standing in the corner. No one's walking in and trying to figure out, you know what I mean? Like, who they're talking to. We create a place where people can actually interact. and for me, when I see someone that isn't involved, and I can see that, my initial reaction, my gut feelings, to go over there, shake their hand, introduce myself, and just ask and start talking to them. I mean, this is so simple and so rudimentary. It's just, again, so natural for me, because, you know what I mean, I understand what it feels like to be, you know what I mean, the not the, you know, an outcast. It's someone that just comes in from a new school, people that, you know, people felt that before. And, you know, to me, cannabis is always about connecting and getting people together. I've met so many different people from the time I smoked my first, you know, hit behind a, you know, 7-Eleven to now. It's just like, I was just like, you know, I was shaking hands with people I didn't know. They didn't look like me. They didn't come from my same background. But for some reason, this plant just put everybody together. And I'm just like, to me, that resonates so much in what I think about when we put together cannabis events. How can we create that environment where that everybody feels welcome? Everybody wants to be there because they feel welcome. And I don't care if you're the biggest CEO to like a small bud tender, everyone is going to feel included. And that's, to me, is like, to me, our secret sauce. And when we're building events is that. And I think people neglect to think about that when they put together events. And, you know, to the point of why Fairchild is being built, we want to help people. You know, we don't only do our own events, we're doing producing other people's events, because we understand those fundamentals. And to me, for them, it's just like they are relying on us to put this together, because they don't understand that part of it. They're good at what they do, but they're not good at this part. And so, like, you know what I mean? We've had to cancel several of them, but right before, we did one for Urbana Now and Marty, and those guys were incredible, and we were able to put that together. And you know, we were looking forward to putting more of those together in the future. But, you know, for now, you know, we're just going to, again, take a second. Let's be safe. These events are going to come back, and when they come back, you know, we're going to be back at full force, and we're going to continue to help these companies. I think ultimately at the end, everyone's hitting the reset button, and everyone's going to need more help than ever after this. So I think we're in position to help different companies. It's going to be a whole new world after this, but you know what I mean? You know, someone told me a long time ago, you know, one day we're not going to have watches, one day we're not going to have cars, but you know what? They're always going to be cannabis. Always.
And there's always going to be people, and I think that's the thing I appreciate about you the most, is that you will do an MJ Biz, you know, pretty sizable event, and then go do a rebrand, you know, with the guys up at Urbana and, you know, Marty and those guys. And so really what I see Fairchild, and what I want people to take away from this interview, is that Fairchild is I feel like you're less of an event company and more of a production company, meaning you'll come in and interpretively put together an event that will return the ROI that the person that's funding the event, you know, not including your sponsors, but the person that wants the event done. I feel like you guys have a little bit, actually not just a little bit, quite a bit of intuitive thinking when it comes to like, okay, what's the outcome that we want to produce? And then, because let's just rally off a couple of them. I mean, you started at MJ Biz. What did you go after that? Where was the next event after MJ Biz? Do you remember?
Yeah, we did a couple different things. We did, you know, Andrew Yang. We did,
right?
You know, one of his rallies. I thought that was really
again,
incredible.
not necessarily cannabis related, but still production level, you know?
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of people don't know that we do a lot of non-cannabis events. We did like the Seattle Sounders Championship party, you know, Urbana was another party we did. And, you know, to me, every time I do go to these states, and you kind of mentioned that I travel to a lot of places, we create these mixers that sometimes get 100, 200 people in 2-3 days notice. And that kind of really told me how much people want to be connected. And to me, all the relationships that I've made, like let's just say at MJ Biz, when you do go to these individual states, you realize how many of these people are from there, and they want to, you know, bring out the hometown and shake hands and, you know, kind of introduce me to those things. So there's always been so many of those. And obviously, you know, we were going to do a pretty decent size 420, and we were going to do the Hall of Flowers event, which we eventually canceled. And I know even in Denver, 710 Spirits, we were talking about doing a pretty cool event with them. So, while all of them have been, canceled, is just like, for us, production to me is important. I just always encourage everybody to do what they do best in business and in life. Is just like, do what you love, and then at the same time do focus in on your strengths. And I think, for us, we're just kind of providing that turnkey solution for them, because we want to, first of all, is make sure that it's successful. And number two, that we don't want them to waste time and mistakes on things that they're not, used to doing or proficient at doing. So those are the type of levels of things that we're doing. And, to me too, something that would be really exciting, and that we, honestly, maybe timing is going to be perfect on it, is really our platform. And our platform is a ticketing platform for the, for the cannabis industry. It allows event producers to put their tickets on there, sell them legally. Right now, Eventbrite and, so many of these other events, will flag you and shut you down. We wanted somewhere where we're teaming up with the cannabis industry and providing them with those services, as well as other tools, so that they can be successful. But ultimately, the exciting part is to build, like, to me, a hub and a platform that allows the community to know where where the events are. And specifically, oh, my daughter's giving me a nice hug. Hi,
Oh,
sweetheart. Oh, baby. Oh, let me kiss. Okay, give me a second. So, I just love to me, the most exciting part is that platform where we're able to utilize, like, again, the community, build this community. I mean, I don't think in cannabis we've been able to build a social network or a lot of community places. I do know, again, that doesn't leave out, like, different companies who have, done it already. I think there's different companies that do that, but, there's so few for the type of numbers that we have. So I think, to me, that is going to be the exciting part. I want everyone to be able to, no matter what you are, if you want business events, or you want wellness events, whether you want, any kind of, like, parties and those type of things, we want you to be able to go on the Farechild website and the app, and that's what we're building right now, so that you can definitely fine tune in, what you're looking for. And again, for us, tools for the industry, support for the industry. How do we make this industry more successful and do our part? And to me, even if we niche down on events, we feel like we're doing our part in helping to grow this industry.
man, what a perfect way to end this interview. What a blessing the space is able to take advantage of with a guy like you. We're gonna look back in 10 years, 15 years at guys like yourself, and realize what a cornerstone of not only, kind of your energy, but your thought processes, and how you're willing to unabashedly help people without the fear of someone stealing something from you, because everyone's so worried about, I always tell people, I can give you my chocolate chip cookie recipe, but mine will always be better. I feel like you're the same way. And just so you know, people, we've been talking with David Tran, the co-founder of Farechild and Goldfingers Group, as well as Dope Magazine, and not just an event producer, but a lifestyle brand associate that can help you in accomplishing the things that you're looking to do with your brands. If you're looking to do an event, if you're looking for advice, go hit up David Tran. You can find him on LinkedIn at Father Tran. Shoot out some of your social handles so people can follow you.
And, right now, Fairchild at the Fairchild. To me, at the Goldfingers Group, that is our consulting group where we're helping different companies who need the support of, people that, have experience, and, through just the, business. And, even I'm going to give a shout out to Cowgirls Inc. in Seattle. I've owned that bar for 16 years. All the people there where, the service industry is really hurting up in Seattle as, one of the hubs of this virus. I want to give a shout out to Fairchild. I want to give a shout out to Sensi Magazine. Again, normalizing. I love those guys. Those guys continue to build, the stories of our industry and documenting history And, also to me, I am advising on AMMA Healing, which is definitely CBD brand that and hemp products that are really just, again, just first class service. And I'm also going to be on the board of Intev Technologies, which is a really innovative vape company, which I look to kind of talk about more as they develop, but very exciting, something that no one's ever really seen before. And those kids, and I just love young entrepreneurs. I love their grit. I love seeing a lot of me in them. And to me, businesses right now are built on the people. So I encourage everyone to stay positive. Again, keep connected right now. You can, while we might not be able to do in person, there's always the phone, there's a video chat, and, we appreciate what you're doing, Danny. You're bringing people together, you're giving people a voice, you're providing information. What you're doing is absolutely so vital. And, while you've been giving so many accolades, your spirit and your positivity, and every time I see you too, is absolutely something that, this industry continues to need. And, not everyone has to be the same in this industry, but gosh darn it, you know what I mean? You're a very important part of what we're doing. So thank you very much for doing this. And, I'm always just happy to be on your show.
Thanks, Dave. And I just want to tell you, man, keep your family safe. Let's stay in touch while you're down in Cabo and I'm up here in Santa Cruz. Like you said, kind of hold up, but we can reach out to each other and we can have communication. And I look forward to hearing more about your endeavors, and definitely we'll have you back on the show, my man. Be safe.
Cool,
thank you, bro. I love you. And as always, the man, David Tran.
Yeah, love you too. Love everybody, man.
That's a wrap. Thank you for listening to this edition of Cannabis Karaoke, another kick-ass podcast about all things cannabis. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and our website, cannabiskaraoke.tv. And if you or someone you know would like to be on the show, please hit the book your interview button on the right. Cannabis Karaoke. Grab the mic and tell your story.